Hi everyone, thank you for coming, network security again. So today we're going to talk about a very important topic, key management. So we've been talking all of this time about keys, public key, private key, okay, symmetric, asymmetric encryption, MAC, hash with the key, but how are we sharing these keys? So to be able to do the encryption and run these algorithms, we have to share these keys. We have to get the key firmware. How we manage the keys? So if you are a person, know 1,000 people, so are you going to save 1,000 keys somewhere? What are you going to do? So how key management is done? So that's what we're going to talk about today, key management. All right? So, all right, so we're going to explain the need for a key distribution sensor. So there is a center distribute the keys, and how KDC, key distribution center, KDC. I'm sure you have heard this term a lot. This is the key distribution center. How to create the session keys. Remember last time we spoke about the passwords, one-time password, session passwords, and all. We already give you the entity authentication thing in last class, right? So today we're going to talk about keys, right? To show how two parties can use symmetric key agreement protocol to create a session key. So usually for communication, when you log into a server, you're creating a session and using a session key. So how this is happening? To describe Kerberos, Kerberos is a protocol created in MIT and now up to version 5, and it's very common, used in Windows, used in many other systems for authentication. Kerberos, right? Which is used as a KDC and as authentication protocol. So it has two functions: KDC, key distribution center, and for authentication protocol, right? Then we explain the need for certification authorities to for public keys, okay? And we introduce the public key infrastructure KKI as much as we can cover today. All right, so symmetric key distribution. You know symmetric key. So Bob, and in our examples, who are they? Alice and Bob need to share a key to be able to communicate. And we're talking about symmetric key distribution. So symmetric key cryptography is more efficient than asymmetric key. Why? Because asymmetric key, it needs two keys, and the data, it has to be small. If it's too big, it becomes so slow, right? So it's more efficient than asymmetric key cryptography for encipherment of the large messages. Symmetric key cryptography, however, needs a shared secret key between two parties. So for the asymmetric, it's easy. You have a private key and you put your public key somewhere. Publicly, somebody can download it. But for symmetric key, what you have to do, you have to share. So we have to find a way to share that. And that's why we use KDC and we use session keys. So in here, for example, as you see, key distribution center key. So KDC, all right. If Alice would like to communicate with, let's say, Bob, okay, both have to get a session key. And who issues the session key for them? The KDC. So KDC issue the session key, give it to both of them, tell them go communicate. All right. So function of KDC is to issue the key. So flat multiple KDC. So in here, for example, okay, we have Alice could get a session key from KDC1 because it's closer to it, it's connected to it. Sorry. So Alice is bought from this server, KDC. Bob is part of the server. Bob cannot go to KDC1 to get a session key because he's not a member of that. But these KDC kind of a firm communicate with each other. So KDC1 communicate with KDCN, negotiate to issue a common key for Alice and Bob. All right. That means we could have multiple KDCs, and the KDCs talk to each other to connect to members. Okay, and this one, all of them member of the same KDC. And here, Bob is member of a KDC which is different than the KDC of Alice. All right, there is no problem with that. We call it a flat multiple KDCs. We could have hierarchical multiple KDCs, as you see in here. So you have international KDC, and then you're going to have national KDCs, and local KDCs, and Alice, for example, is part from this local, and this local is part from this national, and of course everything is part of the international. So they will be able to communicate, the KDCs communicate to issue a session key for all of that. Simple? Alright, so a KDC creates a secret key for each member. So there's a secret key created by KDC for each member. This secret key can be used only between the member and the KDC. We are not going to use it for regular communication. It's only between the KDC and the member. If there is communication between a node, they have to be issued different session key. Okay, so it's not between the two members. So a session symmetric key between two parties is used only once. Any session key is used once. Once the session ends, get another session key. But it should be derived from the common key. So a simple protocol using a KDC, as you see here, the first approach using KDC. Alright? What will happen? Okay, let's take a look at the keys in here. So KA, so we have Alice, our team, Alice and Bob. Eve is not here. Okay? So Alice and Bob. Alice would like to communicate with Bob, right? So KA is encrypted. So what will happen? Alice, to be able to share the key, the main player will be the KDC. We did not see KDC before. Now KDC is where we're gonna get the keys, right? So what will happen? Alice sends a message to KDC, tells it, I am Alice, I would like to communicate with Bob, as a plain text. Alright? Both Bob and Alice are members of this KDC. Then what will happen? That the KDC will send to Alice, alright, this is a key for communication between Alice and Bob, and this is the key, okay, the session key between Alice and Bob. So it will send a session key between Alice and Bob, and this communication between Alice and Bob. Alright? Everything is encrypted with Bob's, okay, Bob's KDC secret key. Alright? And you have also the session in here, okay, and encrypted with Alice KDC key. Alright? So when it goes to the Alice could remove this box, could remove this. Alright? Alice could open this because it has the key. Alright? What remains? Key plus thing encrypted with key, with the key of the Bob. Shared. So it will be sent. So the Alice Bob, the key will be sent to where? To Bob. Now Bob can unlock this key because it has the key. And then it will read. It's a communication between Alice and B, and that's what is this in here? The session key. So now both have the session key. They have the secret key. Clear? Shall I repeat it one more time?
Yes.
Repeat one more time. So what will happen? KDC will have a secret key for Alice and Bob. So there is a shared secret key forever. There is a shared secret key forever. Alright? From that shared secret key, the two shared secret key, we have to create one session key. We have to create one session key. Who will create the session key? The KDC. So you have to tell. So Alice tells KDC, I am Alice, I would like to communicate with Bob, send me a session key. Alright? Then the KDC responds with the session key. This is a session key. And this is between Alice and Bob's session key. If it sends it without encryption, everyone will be able to read it, right? Everyone will be able to read it. You can, right? So what you will do, you'll encrypt it with what? With Bob's secret key. Who knows Bob's secret key? Both Bob and the KDC. Alice does not know it. All right? It will receive, and everything is encrypted with Alice secret key. Now when it go to Alice, Alice can remove this lock. What remains? This lock plus the session key. Alice keeps the session key for itself, which is equal to this, right? And sends this sends it to where? To Bob. Bob has its own key. Can unlock, remove the lock. Now what it has? The session key. So both now, Bob and Alice will have the session key. Right? Why we did the encryption in here? Why? Because if we send it without encryption, everybody will be able to read it. We need to be secret, right? And then here when it's sent in the wire, it's secret. Here as a plain text, sent as a plain text. Still a problem, but not a bigger problem. Okay, so everybody will know from this message, will know everybody that Alice would like to communicate with Bob. That's it. But they don't know what are the session key and all of that. Clear? Okay, so Nidam Shonder protocol, little bit improvement. So key A is encrypted with Alice KDC, key B with encrypted with Bob KDC secret key, and KAB encrypted with Alice Bob session key. So we're creating the AB is a session key, and this one here we have the session key between Alice and Bob. Session key between Alice and Bob, okay, and KDC key distribution center, and RA is Alice's nonce and B Bob's nonce. Okay, this is for increasing the security. We have nonce, right? That always when you have a nonce, the reason for that to prevent what? Replay. Because if somebody gets this message, they could replay it later at any time. But if you make part of it as a nonce, a value, like a time, you cannot replay it back. You agree? So always, when you see nonce, to prevent replaying. Most of the time. Okay? So what will happen in here? The same thing. Alice, Bob, so we add the Alice nonce. Then it will send Alice with the session key. This is called a ticket. Ticket for Bob. Okay, Alice with the key encrypted by the Bob's key, and we add to it Bob and the nonce. Now everything encrypted with Alice's key. So Alice will receive this, it will remove this lock. It will know the RA, it will know Bob, it will know the session key, okay, and this will remain the ticket. So what we'll do, Alice will send the ticket to who? To Bob. Bob will unlock the ticket, okay, and just to make sure the message is coming from Alice, it will send another nonce. Encrypted with what? With the shared key. Alright? Where is the shared key? It was delivered here. Then after that, okay, it will send the nonce minus 1. So Bob already sent the nonce. Let's say 10. This will be the nonce how much? 9. Okay. This is the nonce I sent. Okay. Then they know they are talking to each other. It's not somebody else got the message and doing replaying. Clear? Shall I repeat this one more time? No? Good? Alright? Okay, so this is an improvement to prevent the replay. Okay? There is like Way-Rees protocol, same thing. Okay, same thing in the Way protocol. Okay. So again, if you look at the key in there, we have the key A is the encrypted with Alice KDC secret key. KB is the Bob KDC secret key. KAB is the Alice Bob session key. And then you have the session key between Alice and Bob. This is the the session key. Then in KDC, the RA, the nonce from Alice to KDC, and RB is the nonce from Bob to KDC, and R is the common nonce. So we have one more nonce, okay, just to make sure that, you know. So what will happen in here, the same thing. Alice sends a message to where? Directly to where? To Bob. Okay, it will send Alice nonce, a common nonce. Alice would like to communicate with Bob. Everything is encrypted with what? With Alice key. Okay? With Alice key. Alright? That means Bob cannot read all of this. Can it read it? Could it? No, it does not have Alice key. And also outside what we will send Alice Bob R. Alright, so Bob has it. Now Bob cannot open this. It will not be able to open this because it does not have Alice key. It will send it at it as is. So as is, which is you see in here, the one in here, it's a one in here. It will be sent as it is. To where? KDC. To the KDC. In top of that, it will send Alice Bob R N. So where it gets Alice from? From here. Because send it without encryption. Where it gets Bob? From here. Send it without encryption. Where it gets R from? From here. Because it's not encrypted. And as to it, the nonce for Bob. Who receives all of that? KDC. KDC will be able to read all of this because it has the key A. Will be able to read all of this because it has the KB. Alright? Alright? Then what it will send, okay, it will send the session key with the nonce with the common nonce. And will send also the session key with Alice nonce. So Bob will not be able to read this, but will be able to read that. From it will get the session key. So at this point, Bob knows the session key. Bob will send this part to where? To Alice as it is. Now Alice can open this lock because it has the key. It will be able to know the session key. So now Alice knows the session key and can read RA. Where is RA? Started from where? Started from Alice. If it receives RA equals to the one sent it, that means it's authentic. Right? It's authentic RA because it receives the same one it sent, and then after that it will send the KAB message, any message with the KAB. So both of them now they have the K, the shared session key, and they could use it. So what we are trying here to find a mechanism to do what? To share the session key. Okay. So what we have to have for that, we have something called KDC. And KDC has to have a shared key with any member. Once that happens, we have 3 algorithms already we saw. All of them will do the job. All of them to do the job. Alright? Any questions? Alright, so we come to Kerberos. Kerberos is a real application. Anybody worked in administration, Windows administration or servers, they configure Kerberos. Okay? Alright? So Kerberos is an authentication protocol and at the same time it's a KDC. Authentication protocol and key management system. That has become very popular. Several systems, including Windows 2000, use Kerberos. Originally it created by MIT, and now I think we have up to version 5. So when you take a look at it, in here it's using the idea of the tickets, issuing the tickets. So there is entities in here. What you have the user, Alice, and you have Bob the server. Alright? So to be able to access the server, Alice has to use session key. So how is it going to get the session key? From the Kerberos server. From the Kerberos server. The Kerberos server now is divided in 2 parts. Okay? AS authentication server and ticketing granting server. Okay? So the KDS now, when you look at it inside it, it's not just having a table of keys. It has two servers inside it. One for authentication server, and the second is ticket granting server. So ticket. So exactly now you would like to go to attend a soccer, not a soccer, a baseball game. Can you go right away to a field? Where you go? To a booth to get a ticket, right? What we call this, we call ticket granting booth or server. But sometimes not everybody can go. I mean, people who did reservation before. So what you have to do, you have to authenticate yourself. So that booth will have authentication to authenticate that you are the person who did the reservation before, and then it will issue a ticket. So which one happens first? Authentication, and then ticket granting. Give you a ticket. Clear? Think about a baseball game, cinema, whatever. Okay? Wedding, whatever. Something that needs to have a ticket, right? Same thing in here. So the ticket granting server has two parts. The first part is authentication server, and the second one is the ticket granting server. So look in here. So the user would like to communicate with Bob. Does not go to Bob. Bob will not respond at all. It has to go to the KDC. So what will happen? Request ticket for tickets. Request ticket for TGS. Okay, it will send. Okay, I need a ticket. Ticket. So who responds? The authentication server. It will send. Okay, send to Alice, and will send TGS session key. So it will send it a key that will allow it to communicate with the ticketing server, and ticket for TGS. Okay, so Alice TGS session key and ticket for TGS. All right. So now Alice has a ticket to be able to communicate with the ticketing. So first authentication, then now it has to get the ticket. All right. Then Alice will send request ticket for Bob. Alice, okay. Ticket server, please. I would like to. I need to have a ticket for Bob. Then the ticketing granting will send Alice Bob session key and ticket for Bob. So it will send it to where? To Alice. Now Alice has a ticket. Okay. Then it will send request access and grant access. All right. So Alice and Bob has first to Alice has first to communicate with KDC. KDC has two entities. The first entity is authentication. Then after that, it will request a ticket. The ticket will be sent. You'll be able to access the server. All right. So now we have a new term, tickets, creating a ticket. Okay, and that's exactly what happens. So what you will have, authentication server. The authentication server is the KDC in the Kerberos protocol, and you have the ticket granting server. The ticket granting server issues a ticket for the real server. What is the real server here? Is Bob. And the real server is a Bob. Is the real server, whatever is a Bob provides service for the user Alice. So you could think about this like, for example, the mail server. That's what happens exactly in UB. Okay, when you start your email, okay, what will happen? That you are sending a message to where? To the KDC. The KDC issue a session key. All right, and for the session key, you could connect multiple servers even. So, for example, if you go to Chrome and you log on using, for example, your UB account, then after that you'll be able, access your portal. You'll be able to access the library. You'll be able to access right. Once you log into the portal, you're able to connect to the transaction IEEE, to the library, to the different in one time. Why? Because you have the session key that you could connect multiple servers at the same time. We'll talk about it in a second, right? Once you log into your portal, you could have many applications. You don't have to log again and again for different applications there. You agree? Yes. So when you log into your portal, do you have to log again to your canvas?
Yeah.
No.
Sometimes.
No? I mean, if you log into the portal, you could go to the canvas, you could go to the mail.
Yes.
The canvas is different server than the mail server. They are different servers. Okay? So, anyways. So, and the servers, as you see in here, so in the Kerberos is a little bit complex than that. So, you know, this is simplistic. In here, it's much more simplistic. So in here, by using different servers, okay. So there's keys in here. For example, KA. So let's take a look at the main players in here. Okay, so you have in here the user. You have the KDC, which has two bars, the authentication server and the ticketing server, and you have the real server you're trying to access, right? So there is a key between A, which is Alice, and AS, encrypted with Alice. This means encrypted with Alice and the authentication server key. So key shared between these two. And then you have key Bob B encrypted with ticket granting server Bob key. And then this is between the ticket granting server and B. And this is between A and the ticket granting server. And this between the authentication server and the ticketed granting server. So there is a key between the AS and the ticket granting server. So encrypted with Alice ticketed granting session. And then KAB encrypted with Alice Bob session key. Then you have A, TGS Alice ticketing session key, and AB is Alice Bob session key. Alright. So in here, let's take a look quickly at it. So it's not clear, but that's fine. So Alice would like to communicate with Bob. So it will send, okay, I am Alice. The authentication server will send a key, okay, a ticket for, and this key is not for the session key. It's only to be able to access the ticketing server. So you go to the authentication server to give you a ticket to access what? The ticketing server. Then the ticketing server will give you ticket to access the real server. You understand? So in here you have two tickets, two servers and two tickets. Let's take a real example. So again, you're gonna go to a wedding, right? All right. So you need to get a ticket for food, right? It's not a bad example. Usually, you know. So what is a good example? So let's say there is a baseball by reservation, okay, or whatever, or certain people allowed, okay. Or let's say graduation ceremony at UB. So who is allowed to attend? Students and their parents. All right. So the first thing, you need to get a ticket to get to the building, right? So what you have to go to a booth called authentication server. So you have to show them ID that you are a student or a parent. So what they will give you, a ticket to go to the ticketing room to get a ticket to the field. All right. So the authentication server will get you a ticket to get a ticket to the field. All right. That's what it is. This way, we have a security in communication between the authentication server and the ticketing server. That becomes much more secure, right? So that's what will happen. So Alice goes to the KDC, then the authentication server will send a ticket for ticketing server for Alice, and that's the key encrypted by the shared key between the authentication server and Alice. And this will have the key. So Alice receives it. Now it will be able to receive to be able to read this, okay? Will be able to read that, okay, the share, and then it will send it, okay? It tells that I need to communicate with Bob and put a timestamp and send it with the Alice and the common key. Then now this is the ticket. So this is the ticket, right? It will be sent to where? To the ticketing server, as it is. When you send the ticket, you send the ticket. So this is the ticket issued, this is the ticket issued, and this is the data where you want to communicate, and this is the ticket. You send it as it is. Now the ticket graphic can read this, right? Can read this, okay? And then it will send to Alice the ticket for Bob. So this is again a ticket for now to access Bob, all right? With the ticket for Alice. So it will be able to verify it, and now it will send to the Bob the ticket as a whole, okay? And then we'll send the confirmation by T-1 to prevent replay. All right, so what's the key in here? Again, let me repeat. Our KDC, it has two parts: authentication server and ticketing server. All right. So now, if I need to access to a server, to Bob, I have to go to the authentication server. Okay. The authentication server will give me a ticket to access the ticketing server, and the ticket server give me a ticket to access the main server. As simple as this, you know. It's as simple. It's not, you know, and we involve the time and all of that to prevent the break. So note that if Alice needs to receive services from different servers, she need to repeat only the last four steps, because she would have the session key. Now we have Kerberos 5. This is that was Kerberos 4. Kerberos 5. The minor differences between version 4 and 5 are briefly listed here. Version 5 has a longer ticket lifetime, the long time. Okay. Because when you issue the ticket, you could have it for maybe 24 hours. You could use it. Okay? After that, you cannot use it. It's like, you know, okay, think about the movie ticket. They give you a ticket, you could use it within a month, right, or so. All right? Version 5 allows tickets to be renewed. Okay? Version 4, you have to recreate it. Version 5 can accept many symmetric key algorithms, you know, AES, different algorithms. 4 was restricted. Version 5 uses different protocol for describing data types and has more overhead than version 4. So it has a little bit more overhead over version 4. And also you can have realms. So you could have a farm of Kerberos servers. Okay, so Kerberos realms, the global distribution of authentication servers and ticketing servers. Okay, connected together, with each system called a realm. A user may get a ticket for a local server or a remote server. Okay, you could get it from a local server or remote server. Make, you know, connections. Okay. Symmetric key agreement. So far it's clear, right? All right. So Alice and Bob can create a session key between themselves without using a KDC. KDC is like for a big servers and all of that. But you know, what if we need Alice and Bob to issue a session key without involving a KDC? Is that possible? Yes, possible. There's some algorithms for that. Diffie-Hellman, if you have heard about it, right? So Bob creates a session key with a key. Okay. This method of session key creation is referred to as symmetric key management, symmetric key arrangement, symmetric key arrangement. So we need to have a session key, shared key, but we don't want to work with a KDC. Is that possible? Yes, there are some algorithms help you to do that. As simple as that. So there is Diffie-Hellman key agreement, and there is station to station. It's just an improvement to Diffie-Hellman. Okay. Take a look at here. So what will happen? Okay, Diffie-Hellman, very simple. Okay. The values of P and G are public. So P and G, which is a prime keys, are public and all of that. So what Alice does, it takes G and to power X, it chooses X. Any X. Okay. Mod P is a public and G is a public, we said, right? And will give you what? R1, nonce 1, right? It will send it to where? To Bob. Again, R1 created from a public information, G and X is choice of Alice. Alright? Then Bob, what does it to create R2? How it created? G, which is a public, to power Y. Y is of choice of Bob. Choose any Y. Any Y. Alright? And P is known. And this will call it R2. We'll send R2 here. So R1, who knows R1 now? Both. And who knows R2? Both. Alright? Bob does not know X. Does not, because you don't send X, you send the R1. And Alice does not know Y. Alright? So what we will do, you calculate the key. What is the key? Is the R2, which came from here to power X. Alice knows X because it's up mod B. And K in here, R1, which is came from Alice to the power Y. Bob knows Y because of his choice. And this key will equal this key. And that will be the shared key. Simple math operation. That will be the shared key. So what is the shared key? Calculated this way in here and here. And K in here equal here. So K equals G to the power XY mod B. Alright. So Bob was able to calculate it without knowing the value of Y. And Alice was able to calculate without knowing the value of X. The value of X. So Bob was able to generate it without knowing the value of X. Okay? Now, what they should do after they finish, both of them should delete X and Y. So nobody can know the key anymore. The only way, anybody can know this if they know key X and Y. Just delete X and Y and that's it. Alright? So the symmetric shared key in the Diffie-Hellman method is K equals G to power XY mod B. Alright? Let's take example, a quick example. Okay, let us give a trivial example to make the procedure clear. Our example uses small numbers, but note that in real situation, remember your question, right? Big numbers. The numbers are very large. Assume that G, we said, what are public? G and P. They are public, right? G and P. So G is 7 and P is 23. The steps are very simple. Alice chooses X. Let's say 3. 3, choose any X. And calculates R1, which is 7 to power 3. This is to power 3. Mod 23 equals 21. It's not 73, 7 to power 3, right? And Bob chooses any number. Y, let's say 6. So, and calculates R2, which is 7 to power 6, which is 4. So what is the value of R1? 21. R2, 4. Exchanged. So Alice sends the number 21 to Bob, and Bob sends the number 4 to Alice. Now they both know R1 and R2. So Alice calculates the symmetric key. What is the symmetric key? K R2 to the power 3 mod 23 18, and Bob calculates the symmetric key, which is 2 to power 16 mod 23 give you 18. So now both created the session key. What are the session key? 18. That's it. 18. So the value of key is the same for both, which is 18. Simple. Okay? Alright. So now, if anybody needs to break this, they have to know G and P, right? Because they are public. And they have to find X and Y. So for these small numbers, it's easy to figure it out, right? You could try, right? But usually X is so large and Y is so large, so it takes like 5 years to break it. Alright, okay? So look at P, this is the P, how big? And yes, you need to memorize this, okay? And G, and that's the X, and that's the Y. Alright? And this is R1, and this is R2, and this is the key. See how big is the key? The session key is huge. Okay, it's not 18 as in the previous example. It's not 2 digits. It's a huge key. All right. All right. So that's the Diffie-Hellman. Okay, that's how it works. So you have G and G. Okay. Anyways, of course there is a problem with the discrete logarithm attack and man in the middle attack. for that, so in the man in the middle attack, for example, so let's take a look in here. So R1 is sent. You know how we calculate R1, right? So now Eve, so Eve is the enemy, right? It receives R1. It listens, instead of going all the way to Bob, it receives R1. Now Eve, what does it do? It will generate R2. Eve, remember, is the enemy, right? And it will send R2 here and R2 here. Alright? Then this Bob will think this is kind of R1. Somebody trying to communicate with it, right? So it will generate R3. And R3 comes in here. So now Bob received R1. Eve received R1. Eve generated R2. Eve received R3. Okay? And it could now send messages here and here the way it wishes as the middle in the man. It's kind of a trusted, right? From both. Okay, that's one of the weakness in the Diffie Hellman. Alright? So for that, always for replay or middleman, we have to have nonce somehow. So for that, we come station to station key management. So what we do, so R1, okay, first create R1 goes to Bob, right? Then R2 is created. This is R2 is R1 created. Then you send R1. Now R2 is created. Normal way, you choose Y, you choose it. Okay, and for the key is R1, which was received to the ball Y mod B. That's the key. All right. Then what you do, you send the second message with a signature. Remember we said you send the message with signed message. So when the signed message, you could verify where it's got. So what's the problem in the middle of the man?
No.
The message is not signed. I don't know it's coming from here or here. If I have a signature, if I use the external company or external web to sign the message, then I know where it's coming from. So what I'm adding in here is station to station signature. Okay? So what I'll do, I'll send R1, R2 and the Alice, and it will be signed by Bob, private key. It will be sent, and Bob certificate in here sent to. Then it will be able to verify it, and then it has the key, and it will be verified the signature, and then again Alice will sign it and send it by its public key, private key, and Bob will be able to verify it. So the only thing we added in here, signature mechanism. Okay, signature. So the exchange of the message has to be signed, digitally signed, right? And we already explained about digital signatures before, right? All right. So now we're going to talk about public key distribution. Okay. So how keys are, distributed. So in a symmetric, in a symmetric key, in asymmetric key, we have a private and we have public. So private is a private, right? Which one we have to make it distributed? The public. Again, encryption, we have symmetric. Symmetric, we have one secret key, done. For asymmetric communication, we have two keys, public and private. Private is a private. Public, it has to be somewhere. Everybody gets it. You could put it in your own page, but somebody could fake it also, right? Anyways, so in asymmetric key cryptography, people do not need to know a symmetric shared key. Everyone shields a private key and advertises the public key. So you have a public key, you have to announce it. You announce it to everybody. Bob, I am Bob, this is my public key. Hey, take my public key. If you need to communicate with me, use my public key. I can read the message, we're using the pair private key. Right? So what will happen? Okay, you're gonna have a trusted sender. The only way to have a trusted sender, so a dictionary. So Alice, okay, so this is the trusted sender. Alice, and has the key for Alice. Bob has the key, the public key for Bob. So trusted sender. So all of us will go to this trusted center and we put our public keys. If I need to communicate with him, I go get the public key from where? The trusted center. right? So trusted center for everybody. All right. All right. So control trusted center. So you have kind of a dictionary. Alice, that's her public key. Bob, that's her public key. So what will happen in here? So this Bob's public key and timestamp. All right. So so what will Alice needs Bob's key. It will say, okay, to go to okay, add and send the timestamp. T for timestamp. Now the trusted center, what does it send? It sends the message. The trusted these Bob's trusted with the T timestamp with the key, which is read from here, plus a signature for the timestamp signed by the sender's private key. So every one of us has to know the public key of the center. Right? All of us have the public key of the center. So just to make sure this message is coming from where? From the center, not somebody else. It just signs the timestamp for us. We receive it. Alice knows the public key of the center. Just reads it. Alright? So what we are trying to do in here, what's the difference between here and here? You tell me. What we do in here? In here, you're going to go get it. Yeah, okay. But you know, somebody could fake. We need to make sure it's the trusted center that all of us trust. It's not coming from another center, right? All we have to do is signature. What do we have to sign? Not much. The timestamp. I requested something from you at this time. Send me what I requested with the time sent I sent you before. Just sign it for me. All right. So now is like signed by the center's private key. Efficient, simple. You don't need to do more, right? So in here, what will happen in here? Okay, certification authority. So you have the dictionary, like again, Alice, that's her public key. So it's like a database, right? Alright, so you could create something called certification authority, the server authentication authority. So that's so Bob applying, okay, Bob applying, okay, Bob's public key, okay, this is Bob's public key, goes to the certification authority, alright. So this key will be checked in the database and here okay, and will be recorded. So here Bob trying to record its public key, right? It will be recorded in there, and for issuing, okay, it will come from the Bob certificate, signed with the certificate authority's private key, and it will be sent and distributed for everybody. So that's how it is. Okay, so you apply for a request. I need to have a key issued. It will be issued and will be signed and sent everywhere. So always sent by certification authority. All right. So what we are talking about before about center for keys, right? Center. Somebody has a. So there is a standard called X509. X49 is a place all of us could create our public key and save it there, and it's a standard. Okay, it's a standard. X509. Okay, so although the use of a certificate authority has solved the problem of public key fraud, it has created a side effect. Each certificate may have a different format. All right. So because in here what we did, we have to issue a certificate in format. So we need to make the standard. So the standard came with shows. So that's how it is. That's how it looks. So this is a certificate. This is the certificate. It has a version number, serial number, signature algorithm, because you could use AES, this, 3DIS, okay? So when somebody sends you the certificate, you have to know how it was created. Alright? Issuer name, Dr. Abel's name, for example. Validity period, this certificate is valid for how long? Okay? Subject name, okay? Subject public key, and then issuer unique identifier, subject unique identifier, and extensions, and then the signature. So that's what we need, the signature in here, and this is the data. And and all of this will be taken to a hash algorithm. It will create a digest, signature algorithm, okay, signed for a certificate authority private key, and then sign the digest, and it will be added to here as a signature. So we send the certificate with a signature added to it. So we have a signed certificate, okay? And this is protocol X09, it will generate it. So we have a certificate renewal. Each certificate has a period of validity. If there is no problem with the certificate, the CA issues a new, the certificate authority, a new certificate before the old one. So there is expiration date. Before it expires, it will issue a new one. Certificate renewal also, in some cases, a certificate must be revoked before its expiration for a different reason. Somebody hacked on it, you don't feel it's not secure, you need to revoke it. And there is delta revocation to make revocation more efficient. The delta certificate revocation list, delta CRL, has been introduced. So it will. So in here, the certificate revocation format, again, you have to issue a revocation. Again, you have information to be signed, and this is the certificate for revoke it. All right. Anyways, what we have learned so far, that we have to have a certificate authority, 509, it's 509, it's the standard. All right. Anybody of us can create a certificate, save it there, and every certificate will be signed. And usually when it's signed by your okay. So some duties of PKI. I'm sure you have heard the term PKI, which is public key infrastructure. PKI, public key infrastructure. All right. So what are the duties? Certificates issuing, renewal, and revocation. Certificates, it issues certificates, revoke certificates, and renew certificates. Number 2, keys storage and update. So the keys are stored in that PKIs, the keys. Okay, number 3, providing services to other protocols. Number 4, providing access control. So these are the functions of PKI. So in here, for example, when you say X arrow to Y, means X has signed a certificate for Y. So X signed a certificate for Y. So in here, for example, CA has signed a certificate for CA1. CA1 has signed a certificate for user 1. So CA1 has signed for user 1, user 2, user 3, so on and so forth. Okay? So let's take a look at this example. Sorry about that. Alright. So show how user 1, knowing only the public key of CA, the root, can obtain a valid copy of user's free public key. Okay, so here what we are saying is, okay, user 1, knowing only the public key of CA. Where is user 1? User 1 knows the public key of the CA, okay, and we we need it to can obtain a verified copy of user 3. So it needs to get the public key of user 3. Okay? So user 1 knows the public key of CA and needs to get a public key of user 3. That's a problem. Clear? Okay? So user 3 sends a chain of certificates, okay? CA to CA1, CA to CA1, okay? And CA1 to user 3, CA1 to user 3. So CA to CA1 and CA1 to CA3, okay? To use, so user 1 validates CA signs CA1 using a public key CA. So this one signs this using the public key of CA1. So it uses its public key to sign for CA1. Then user 1 extracts the public key of CA1 from this one, from CA1, and user 1 validates CA1 user 3, user 3 to CA1, and user 1 extracts the public key of user 3 from CA1. So this signs for this and signs for this, and this signs for this. So this is the area where they try to get the public key for both of them. Okay, the common area. Alright, some web browsers such as Netscape and Internet Explorer include a set of certificates from independent routes without a single high-level authority to certify each route. I mean, you know, all our web pages now they have certificates. So once you log into web page, you don't have to enter the information again because it's certified, right? Alright. One can find the list of these routes. You could try it in Internet Explorer. If you go to Tools, Internet Options, Content, Certification, and Trusted. So you'll see all the trusted routes. Alright? So as you see in here, you could have like multiple routes. So in here, for example, route 1, both trust each other, sign each other. Route 2 and route 3. So it's like mesh. Everyone signs the other. So when you say X to Y are on both sides, means X and Y have signed a certificate for each other. So full trust in the mesh in here. Alright, Alice is under the authority of route 1. Route 1, Alice is here. Okay, Bob is under the authority of route 4. Bob is here. So Alice and Bob under the authority. Show that Alice obtains Bob's verified public key. So how Alice, which is here, can get the public key of Bob, who is here. Alright? So Alice is part of this route. Bob is part of this route. How Alice can get the public key of Bob while these routes are trusting each other. So Bob sends a chain of certificates from route 4 to Bob. Route 4 to Bob, because Bob is here. Alright? And, so Bob sends a chain of certificates from route 4 to Bob. Alice looks at the directory of route 1 to find route 1, trust route 1, and route 1 to route 4 certificates using the process shown in figure in here. So the start, because route 1 is trusting route 4 both ways. Okay, so route 4 can get the public key from Bob, and Alice can, route 1 can get the key from Alice, which is member in here. Then they could change the keys. All right. So this is called PKI. Okay, public key infrastructure. Anyways, so what we have covered today, a lot of topics actually. Okay, so the last thing we have covered the public key infrastructure. All right, public key infrastructure. Before that, we have covered X509. All right, where it's a certificate. It creates a unified certificate format. Okay, and you could issue a certificate. We could revoke a certificate. We could renew a certificate. That's part of the public key distribution. Then before that, spoke a lot about Kerberos. Okay, and we spoke about session key without having to go to KDC. We don't have to go to KDC. Kerberos is an example of using KDC. an authentication protocol. Diffie-Hellman is an example of issuing a session key without needing a KDC. All right. So a key management is a key element in the whole world of network security, right? We were talking about all the encryption techniques, symmetric, asymmetric, but all of this needs keys, and we have to get the keys through some mechanism, and we have to share them, all right, in a very secure way, and store them in a very secure place, right? So the key management algorithms are available to handle that. All right, thank you.